profession. Making it is being able to do what you love and make a living at it on any level. And the 3 tips: perseverance, perseverance, perseverance. You just don't give up.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
Welcome to Making It with me, your host, Terry Woolman. We're listening to Nita Whitaker, and that song sure put a smile on my face. That's a great way to start the episode. I really appreciate you joining us every week, and I wanted to make sure that you know that you can find all of our episodes on entertalkmedia.com, Spotify, or go to iTunes under podcast and look for Making It with Terry Woolman. I created this show to focus on what it takes to have a lasting career in the ever-changing landscape of the entertainment business. And our guest today is a perfect example of how to do that and to have a beautiful life along the way. Her name is Nita Whitaker. Let me tell you a little bit about her. A favorite singer of legendary producer David Foster, Nita has sung with some of the most famous voices of our time. She sang the original demos for Whitney Houston's standards, I Will Always Love You, I Have Nothing, and I Look to You, working with producer David Foster and Walter Nelson. Having toured with Andrea Bocelli as a guest artist, as well as a featured vocalist with jazz trumpeter Chris Botti, Nita has performed for tens of thousands of music fans around the world. A former Miss Louisiana and Grand Champion Star Stitch winner, Nita's superb vocals blend jazz, pop, and classical into her own unique sound. She has performed on stage in 4 world premiere musicals, appeared in the film The Bodyguard, and has released 4 independent CDs as an artist. Nita is also the author of an award-winning memoir entitled Finding My Voice. And she started the nonprofit inaworldwithbooks.org that has given 7,000 underserved children new books. She is the mother of 2 beautiful and superbly talented daughters, Sky and Lizzie LaFontaine. Nita Whitaker, welcome to Making It.
Thank you so much for having me, Terry. Wow, that sounds like I've been busy.
You kind of have.
As an artist, we always say, not busy enough, you know.
Well, that too.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's
so
kind
true.
of a common theme of pretty much every guest on our show.
Absolutely. I think, and I was talking about that to someone recently, there is this great need in us, in all of us who are artists, to be witnessed in some way. So we never look at what we have done. We always look at what we haven't done and what we still want to do, because there's that yearning to be witnessed.
Well said. And, you know, one of the questions that I have for you, I certainly wasn't going to lead with this, but since you just brought it up, with all the accomplishments that you've had in your life, both professionally and personally, you know, and raising your beautiful family and having a very close, large family, you know, extended family as well. What is there that you would still like to achieve that you haven't, you know, both in life and in music and in acting?
Oh, God, everything. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Well, I want a hit Broadway show. I want to be a guest recurring on a hit TV show. I mean, I want the moon. I've always wanted the moon. I like the stars, but I still reach for the moon. I want to have a best-selling book. I want to be able to give 10,000 books a year to children, to underserved children, in their hands. Not just give it, but give it with impact so that they understand the gift of a book, what it can be, your friend. It can also be something that helps you explore. Really, I don't see enough kids reading, and that's one of my other passions. I want to produce more records. I want my children to reach their dreams. I want them to reach their potential. I want to travel. I want to sing with orchestras around the world. I want the moon. So I have so much more work to do, and I won't stop until I get those things done.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So
I want everything.
And you deserve everything, partially because you don't take it for granted, and secondly because you work for it. You know, you've worked hard your whole life, and you are focused. You are empathetic, compassionate, pretty selfless. You know, when you show up to work, I've witnessed you work, and heard you work and seen you work, and besides, you know, been in your home and you know, and we've played music together for the sheer joy of playing music, and it all comes from the same place for you.
It does. It really does. Also for me, there's a spiritual component. Hold on one second. There's a spiritual component to my being, and I want to bring that across in everything that I do. Not that I'm any more spiritual than anyone else, but I come from a place within me that is spirit-driven, and which is about goodness and kindness and soothing and healing and loving, and I want that to permeate the art that I put into the world, because I think if you have a voice, you get a chance to be a positive sound. You get a chance to be a positive influence. That's what I choose. And other people can use their voices to be radical and or provocative, and I love all of that. But the crux of me, Nita, comes from a place of healing and a place of light, I hope, and a place of joy. And I want that to permeate everything that I do, because I so love that I get to do this. I feel so blessed that we get to do what we love, and people want to witness us. So I never take that for granted. And, you know, I was raised in the South. I have my parents were beautiful people, hard workers. So I'm not afraid of work. I'm not afraid to do what it takes to get where I want to go, you know, keeping my morals intact. But yeah. I'm not afraid of anything, because I think everything is an adventure.
But keeping your morals intact, that means that there have been occasions, and we've all experienced them in our business, where you've had to make decisions to do or not do certain jobs.
I haven't been put in direct. There are situations that could have become something, but because of the way I carry myself and present myself,
your boundaries and your intention.
Exactly. I set a clear boundary for myself, and also my dad would say simple things like, you know, don't go to a hotel room at night with somebody you don't know. You know,
That's
things
right.
like that. There's just some common sense things, you know. So I'm not meeting you at your hotel. I'm not coming to your house after hours. So I didn't put myself in some situations. And again, my dad, my sweet dad, don't put yourself in harm's way.
Right.
So, you know, don't go to a gas station at midnight. Get home. Fill up in the morning.
That's right.
So there's a lot of common sense to some of that. So I haven't been in situations that I hear of other people being in. So I feel blessed and lucky that way. But I also, I'm not afraid to stand my ground and say no if that's what needs to happen, and just to walk away or not put myself in those positions to begin with. But I think it's a combination of things, of sort of old school wisdom that I gained from my parents. And
yeah, you know, you're reminding me of my martial arts training that, you know, I'd been studying karate for over the last 20 years, and one of the most invaluable lessons was to learn how to avoid a situation, how to avoid, you know, how to see it coming and, you know, walk the other way.
That's exactly right, because if you can avoid those situations and you don't have to deal with the confrontation of it and blah, 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 blah,
Right.
So I have kind of adhered to that same thing as part of my nurse training is to anticipate needs. And so in that way, I can anticipate what might happen. And as a mom, I kind of have to be prepared for all situations. Let's say if we're traveling and the girls were small, I had to have everything from a Band-Aid to a teddy bear to a little nursing kit in case somebody scraped a knee. So I always had to be prepared for anything that could possibly happen. So I think that informed my life differently as well.
Right, not just as a person, a human being, but also as an artist and a working professional singer, actor.
Right.
Author,
Absolutely.
Producer.
Yeah.
That all comes into play. Yeah, fierce Mama Nita, right.
Yeah, Mama Nita, that's it.
By the way, the Mama Nita reference, just so y'all know, is one of the things that entertains me very much about you and inspires me. You do these, they seem to be fairly spontaneous, speaking your heart video, live Facebook conversations, with things that are on your heart and on your mind. And, sometimes they're from the car, while still driving safely, 2 hands on the wheel.
Always.
But they're really fun. I encourage everybody to, they can go to your Facebook page, right? And
also have it on my Instagram at Sopranty Girl, SOPRANTY girl. That's my Instagram. And I post my Mama Nita Car Chronicles there, but it's under Sopranty Girl.
Good. Yeah, everybody go check that out. They are inspiring and entertaining, to say the least.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks for doing them. Please keep doing that. That's why we do what we're doing. That's why we have this show. It's to mentor, to share information, to inspire people, to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to talk about your nursing degree that you have, but let's circle back for a moment, with you saying that you have always wanted the moon and more. And, that doesn't surprise me because, when you were 11 years old, you were a choir director. Yeah, that's a really great example. I think when you were 3, you were already singing in church.
Yeah, I kind of have been, and I don't know if it's being, I do think birth order matters. And I was the fourth of the youngest of the 4. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that, but I think you're either born with ambition or you're not. And you have to be born with a drive or you're not. And I just have always been a slight overachiever, can we say? I just... you can omit the word slight. You are an overachiever. Why can't I do that? And I want to do that.
Right.
And, I'd like to try that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I came here wired that way. Yeah. So at 11, because I taught myself to play piano because I could hear things and just kind of pick it out on the little Casio keyboard that my dad had for me at 5. I could pick out Amazing Grace, and those mostly church songs. Mm-hmm. But they had a junior choir, and we would perform on the 4th Sundays. And I would teach them the songs and teach them the harmonies and play it as good as I could play it at 11, which was with 2 hands, I was playing for the assembly at my school. Every assembly I would play My Country 'Tis of Thee. My mother taught it to me. She showed it to me. I watched her hands. I played it back. And, basically 1 finger on the left hand, and I had 2 fingers on the right, but I could play it, And so I just became a choir director, and every Sunday I would direct the choir. And then I did that most of my young life until I finished college. I was a choir director. So I loved it. I always have loved to be surrounded by harmonies. And somehow I ended up doing that for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your early years, you grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana. You're the youngest of 4 children. And both your mom and dad were very supportive to you. And your dad, Green Whitaker, who, by the way, happy 100th birthday to your Uncle Dave, who is one of 19. He's one of 19 children on your dad's side, and you just spent the weekend celebrating his 100th birthday.
His 100th birthday. That is, it's a very rare group. We have about 53,000 people around the world that make it to 100.
Wow.
So it's a very elite group that he's in. And when I think back about 1919, I did a little research for his party, and I was thinking, what did America look like? Well, Grand Canyon was named the first national park 100 years ago. And I looked at prices like bread was 6 cents. Wouldn't we like to see that again? And gas was like 25 cents. I mean, it's and some of the things, there were some race riots going on then too. So some of the things have changed and modernized, and we've become quite industrialized and technologized nation. But just to think of the world so simply that the Grand Canyon was 100 years ago became a national park, and just to see the life that he's seen. I think 18 presidents, and
Remarkable.
I just can't imagine what the world looks like from his point of view.
Mm-hmm. What a blessing that you actually get to hear his perspective on life.
Oh, yeah. And he has incredible memory recall. He can tell you the concrete he laid on the street in 1947, the person's name, the name of the street. Unbelievable. And his short-term memory is right there. He's hard of hearing, but everything else, he's doing pretty good. He's, not in the tip-top health at 100. How will any of us be?
Right.
But he's hanging in there. And he is, his mind is completely intact, which is a gift.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'm so happy for you that your whole family got to celebrate that.
Yeah, and a positive thing, something happy to celebrate. Those are always great.
Right. So your dad, Green Whitaker, he was a singer in a group called Spiritual Jubilee, a vocal group. And right. I know with two of your sisters, you had a singing group, actually a gospel group, the Whitaker sisters. Right. I went to look on YouTube, and the current Whitaker sisters look nothing like you and your other sisters.
I don't think. Well, we never were recorded, and
I was wondering.
I think we recorded. Right, we recorded something once with a gentleman that came through town and loved our little group, but nothing ever came of it. And,
right.
And my dad and his group just never had the funds they wanted to record. They were kind of like. Their inspiration was the Mighty Clouds of Joy. Mm-hmm. So they were all male group, and for years, no instruments, just their hips and their voices, just slapping those thighs, patting their feet, and singing harmony like you have never heard. Just everybody, from bass all the way to, and they're just men. It was just men. Then they added a guitar later. I think most they had was a guitar and maybe a bass, and that was it. The singing was so great. And that's what I cut my teeth on, as they say.
Yeah, that got in your bones, right?
Oh yeah. And those harmonies, I would sit on the floor and listen to them sing.
Yeah.
Try to sing everybody's part, It's a little girl.
So Nita, when you were at Northeast Louisiana University, you were studying classical voice opera. You actually went on to win an opera contest, but at the same time, you graduated with a BS in nursing. And I'm wondering, did your family encourage you to have a B plan, or were you just simply as interested in medicine as you were in acting and singing?
Well, my family encouraged me to go for my dream, in particular my dad, because I think he had a dream. And my community felt like that's not a real job. No one in my family ever said that, but my community was like, you got to have something else to do so you can survive. So I had that sort of in my head because it was just in my community. So I actually went to school. I wanted to go to school to be a physician. I love medicine. I think the human body is the most amazing organism, being, thing, how it operates. It still fascinates me. I just love it. And I love being able to help other people in that way. But my mom became ill, and I knew my dad couldn't afford it. So I didn't do so great with physics. I was great with math and the other stuff, and the sciences, loved it. But I thought nursing would be quicker, and I could get out. My mom passed away. I could help my dad take care of bills, whatever. So I thought nursing would be 4 years as opposed to 8. So I went to nursing school. Along the way, I thought, let me take a singing class because I had never really had one. So I found. So
you really just your voice is just it's a natural gift, and then that was sort of honed by being exposed to music in your home and in the church. You didn't formally study when you were younger.
I did study violin in school. I was in the orchestra for 4 years. I was in the junior symphony for 1 year. I did a couple of plays in high school, but nothing in college. I was just focused on getting my nursing degree, my bachelor's. Mm-hmm. So I did that, but I found this wonderful teacher. I took a group class, and then I started to study privately because it didn't cost any more. So I started to study privately, and this teacher, Dr. Lewis Neighbors, became my teacher and my guru. And he was like, "Oh, Miss Whitaker, you have to use, I don't want to ruin your natural instrument, but you have to use this other part of your voice." I was like, "What other part of my voice? I want to be a pop singer, you know." But he was great, and he really started me on the road to understanding more about technique and not just having the ability. How can you have that ability consistently? Mm-hmm. And he was a great teacher, and my first real vocal teacher. And I worked with him, and he was the one that said that I entered this contest, which I won, which was, no one was more surprised than me, because I was kind of, I don't really want to do this, and he was just kept prodding. So, it was a great experience to have.
You also went on to do something just really remarkable and wonderful, which is you won the title of Miss Louisiana in 1984. And the reason that it was wonderful and remarkable, besides the experience of it, was you became the first woman of color to hold that title. And that's just fantastic. Congratulations on that. And
I will say to you that I said this before, but I think it bears repeating. When one is in pursuit of a dream, you're not thinking about, I'm going to be the first. You're just looking at the dream.
Right.
I want that title because I want other girls to see someone that looks like them.
Right.
I want them to see a chocolate, beautiful girl up there with a crown representing our state as this. We're all part of the state. Mm-hmm. And so that was what I saw. I saw that it was something that someone said it couldn't be done, and they weren't going to let me win because they just weren't going to let a black girl win. And that was fuel to me. I was like, what do you mean? What?
Yeah.
I'm not. And my family was like, and I will tell you, I got discouraged. I went 3 times, and I won Miss Congeniality and all. And I was like, look, let me get focused. I'm helping too many people. In fact, one of the year before I won, a girl before me sang and passed out on stage mid-song. Mm. They bring her to me because I'm the nurse.
Right,
Nita. I have to go on. I'm next. I got 2 people. I have to get her revived, get my head back, and go out and do my song. So I kind of figured out I can't be so available
when
I'm trying to win. I mean, that's Miss Congeniality is cute, but I want the crown.
Right.
So that 3rd time, I was discouraged. I said, "Daddy, maybe they're right. They're not ready for a black woman to represent the state. Maybe they're not ready." And Dad said, "Baby, just go back one more time. I got a good feeling." Now, the year that was 1983. Vanessa Williams had been crowned, and Lynn Cola Sullivan from Arkansas was crowned the first woman of color to represent Arkansas. She and I are Facebook friends, and I don't know if that made it okay. I don't know what it was. The gods coming together, angel blessing, whatever it was, favor. But I went back that 4th time because my dad said, "Babe, I got a good feeling." I said, "Okay, Dad, for you one more time." I said, "Maybe I should go to Arkansas. They're letting black girls win over there. Maybe I should go over there."
Dad said they don't need you in Arkansas. They need you here.
So I went back, and it was the year that everything came together, and I was so honored. And there were still some roadblocks. There were some companies that wouldn't let me endorse their product. Like we had a Piggly Wiggly, an A&P grocery store. They would always have Miss Louisiana. They didn't invite me. It's okay. I was like, my attitude was like, "You're lost. You're lost."
That's right.
Because I knew that they didn't know me. They were just looking at a box, looking at an exterior and judging me. They didn't know me. And I think that's why we have to take each person to person. We can't gang everybody in one thing, and these people are all good, these people are all bad. That's just not okay. And it's not right. And it's not kind. So I learned a lot from that. I grew a lot. I got tougher from it, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm honored to have represented my state as the first woman of color to do so, because I hope that opened the door. And then my girlfriend went on 17 years later. She became the second one, and she said to me, I was her inspiration. Wow. Wow. Yeah. In pursuit of your dream, you give people permission to dream theirs. So that's a full circle moment.
Yeah, that is so true. You come from a very close family that we've been talking about it, and it's no surprise to me that you created a wonderful family of your own. And before you share your story about meeting your very cool husband, Scott Perkins, and who I love, and your relationship and loss of your first husband, Don LaFontaine, who is a highly respected and loved voiceover artist, here's my question for you. How did you balance being a wife and mother while starting a very successful career of your own?
Well, I think as a woman and a mother, it's always a juggle. I think that men, and this is nothing personal, Terry, because you're kind of groovy, but men do one thing well at a time. Yeah. Women are wired to multitask. So I knew that I wanted to be a mom. With my husband, Don LaFontaine, we wanted to create a family. We knew we wanted to do that. And when I chose that choice, I also chose to raise them. I didn't choose to have nannies doing all the work. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm teaching, because I wanted to pour us into them and not to have someone else they're looking up calling somebody else mama. No. I had them to love them because I was given the task of being their guide. That's what parenting is. You're their guide. It's a great honor if you get it. So I chose things that would keep me in town. So there's some things I didn't choose. Like I didn't want to go on a tour. I didn't want to leave them. Because Don's career was in high gear. He was working a lot. Someone had to be the stabilizing factor. In all of that, I still was able to work. I was still able to do wonderful gigs and have beautiful stages with David Foster all over the country. Had some wonderful jobs. I did ragtime. I did a couple of things because they were here in L.A. It worked out great. I was figuring out as I went. Like a lot of parenting is, you figure it out as you go. They don't come with a manual. You don't know how you're going to do it. It's all new. I'd never had a husband and 2 children and a house. Oh my gosh! I was like, okay, so I'm going to have to make choices, and all of life comes down to choices. And when you understand that everything is a choice and everything is learning, and everything is either love or fear, that's how I made choices. How is this going to affect my children? What do they need? How can I do this and do that? So it was just about making choices that I thought best worked for our family, and things that kept my career moving because I still needed to be witnessed even though I was a mom, and raising 2 little girls who needed a lot of attention and grooming and, all that motherly stuff and the kisses and the hugs and reading of books every night. They needed all of that. So I just, I figured it out, and I hope I did a good job. I hope that I gave my children what I had, a grounding in a family, a feeling of well-being. I hope that we gave them a sense of kindness to others, and we tried to model that for them, of how to be a productive, giving person to the world, not just to your family, not just to your friends, but to be engaged in the world. We tried to be an example for them by how we lived our lives, and a sense of generosity, of spirit, not just of monetary things, but time, So we were figuring some things out as we went. We knew we didn't want to do corporal punishment. There were some clear things, we're not going to spank. I love you so much. How can I hit you? I don't get that.
Did you get spanked when you were a kid?
I did not. My dad spanked my older siblings, and I saw my brother get a spanking, and I said to my dad at 5 years old, so Dad, you never have to do that to me. You just tell me what you don't want me to do, and I won't do it. That was it. I made a deal.
Right.
I'm like, that is not for me. So
I wasn't that great of a negotiator when I was a kid, so I took a couple of straps to my backside, but came out for the better. Although I don't think as a parent I would have done that.
A little whack, but sometimes when you get past that 4th lick, you're hitting because you're mad.
That's right.
And so I think I think, a little swat to kind of get an attention.
Yeah.
Some people are okay with it. I'm not pushing anybody down that did that or had that done. It's okay, but it was what we decided. I think Sky may have gotten a swat once. She was just out of control, and they go to that La La Land. They're just screaming, and they don't even know why, and they're just kind of, hello, you're not even with us anymore, and you have to kind of bring them back. But I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But it's okay. I think she turned out okay.
I think so.
And people that were sick turned out okay, too, so whatever worked.
Right. But that worked for you.
That worked for us, exactly.
Yeah. You mentioned David Foster, and I know that he's been a big part of your musical life. You've become, as well as being a really gifted and versatile theatrical actor, you've become a sought-after backing vocalist, and working with such artists as Faith Hill and Celine Dion, Richard Marx, Josh Groban, Stevie Wonder, Yolanda Adams, and on and on and on. What series of events led you to becoming such a highly respected and requested support singer, and ending up in the headlights or the attention of producers like David Foster?
The road is interesting. First of all, I'm truly not a support vocalist. And there are people who do that so well. I love it because the harmonies that I grew up with, it's easy for me to do. I enjoy it. I do it for some specific occasions, but on all those occasions, I was working directly with the artist. We were on stage side by side. I was not the 20 feet behind. So, but
absolutely. And by the way,
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me for using the term. I grabbed it from one of your wiki pages or bios. It was, and that's me being, my my fiance, is also like your. Thank you. But also, she's also a singer who is and an artist like you. And the point that I'm making is I'm very sensitive to the terminology of background singer, support singer. Yeah. So,
and some people have spent their life in the business, and God, they're so great at it. And they have supported like the best artists in the world. They have gone around the world, seen the world. Amy Keys has sung with everybody.
Absolutely.
Melanie sings with your fiance, sings with Barry, have for many years, beautiful singer, and she's a singer in her own right as well.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I've never done a tour as a back. I think I did one tour early on with Ben Vereen, and that was kind of a theatrical thing. But my goal has always been to be a solo artist.
Yes, and a guest vocalist or co-artist with them. Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah.
But back to your question of how I was introduced to David Foster. After I won Star Search, which was a fantastic experience, and I was a new mommy at the same time, I hired a publicist, a gentleman named Sandy Friedman, at a company called Rogers & Cowan. And one of the things that he did that was great, the best thing that he did, was he took me to a studio. He said, I want you to meet David Foster. I knew his work, but I didn't know his work because, again, I'd been working as a nurse. I had just had a baby. So my world hadn't always been music and looking up on a record who sang what. I just enjoyed the music. So I met him at a studio called Post Logic, and we were introduced, and there was a connection. He started to call me for some things. The first thing he called me for was the demo for I Have Nothing, which he and Linda had just written. And I met him, and Kevin Costner and Linda at the home of Alan Thicke. I'm just name dropping. I've told this story on my show.
It's all right.
But that's part. And so they taught me the song because they had just written it. It was still being formed. Kevin was even singing along. We were changing a word, changing a melody. And then the next thing I know, I was in the studio. We were recording the demo for I Have Nothing. Then later I went to the studio, another studio, and we did I Will Always Love You. Was figuring out there was actually music under the first part of it before, instead of it being a cappella. That came later. I didn't record it that way, but I recorded with music underneath it. And he was trying to figure out what it was going to be. So I did I Will Always Love You. And, so that's how we began. And then he started to call me for some jobs. He would do a lot of work around the country, NBA, in Madison Square Gardens. And it's the huge charity galas because he had his own charity. And so he was connected with a lot of, so that began. I just kind of would do jobs with him, which would be like a little mini vacation and a chance to sing on stages. I worked with everybody. I sang with Josh Groban. I sang with Michael Buble.
Yeah.
And they are my friends as well as, terrific men.
Right, which makes it more
artists.
special and connected and meaningful.
Yeah. So that's how we began, and our he was a great mentor and has become a dear, dear friend, and such a supporter. He's just, he really, our relationship has evolved, and for many years I would sing his girl songs, and he has other young ladies. What was the girl's name? Charisse, for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Would sing the I Have Nothing. I did it for, 15, 18 years, and there was time for some new people to come in. I think Shalea goes around with him now. She's also a wonderful, beautiful soul singer. She does it now, and somebody from The Voice, do it, y'all.
Right.
And I think I've sung Got to Be Real, at least 1,000 times. That's okay.
Right.
I had a ball. Somebody else can sing it now. But it's been a great relationship, and I can call on him at the dead of night, and he would pick up the phone. That's the kind of relationship I have with David Foster. And I'm
the key word is relationship. We build relationships with the people that we work with. Yeah.
It's really important.
Yes, it is. And so there is so much I want to ask you, and we have about 20 minutes left in the conversation. So I want to ask you something.
Where did the time go, Terry?
I know.
My goodness.
And I want to just sneak in a quick question, and then get to your writing and blogging and plenty of other things to ask you. But, after you won Star Search, you ended up becoming a member of a vocal group called Next Millennium. You got signed to Atlantic Records. They recorded an album that never got released, and you all broke up. In addition to the thrills and the disappointments of your first album deal, what part of that experience encouraged you to move forward as an artist?
Well, first of all, I love being in the studio. There's something that happens when you're in the making of the music that is like inspirational. It just makes you want to do it more. I could go to the studio every day and just work, and then because something creative happens, it opens up a channel, and you're just able to pour out so much stuff when you're there because it's just you're swimming in this pool of it. And I find it inspirational. We worked with 3 or 4 different producers, just creating the music, finding the harmonies, finding the blend. And I knew that was something that I wanted to do. And the biggest reason I wanted to do it is because it will be my legacy. Mm-hmm. Everybody doesn't get to be at the level of Beyonce. Everybody doesn't get to be at the level of a John Denver. But what we leave is our music. There will be recordings that my children and hopefully my children's children. This was my mom. This is why mom did this. Do you hear that lick? Oh my gosh! Mm-hmm. It becomes my legacy that I was here, not just word to mouth, but there is something tangible that will be in the lexicon, on the SoundCloud somewhere, on a iHeart radio. That will be me. That my children can say, my mom did this work. This is why I will continue to record until I can't. Because it is my legacy. And it also gives me an avenue to express creatively what I want to say. And I think that process of recording those songs with those 4 wonderful people, Will Wheaton, Joey Diggs, Suzanne Charles, and the late, great Warren Wiebe, was thrilling. I mean, we were disappointed that our record never was shared with the world, but the process of the recording kind of taught me how to do it. And so onward we go.
Thanks for sharing that story. I'd love to ask you, part of your legacy also, we were talking about it earlier, is your writing. And I want to talk about your book, Finding My Voice. But before we do that, I want to talk about your blog. And I'd love for you to just read an excerpt from your blog, if you don't mind. And part of what prompted me to ask you that is, reading a quote of yours that says, "Perspective is everything." And I love that quote. And I think this excerpt that I pointed out to you from your blog is a great example of that. Do you mind sharing a little bit of that?
Sure. It starts, hello there. I try to find the calm in the storm of media that bombards us by simply turning it off. The noise of what he or she did and the exposure of tales to ever more horrific crimes that make the headlines make me weary and sad. But I look into the kind faces of a passing stranger, and there is a smile, a good wish, and a wave from my neighbor. Simple acts of kindness here and there, and I know that we, as a people, as Americans, are more than the collective negative divide which seeks to do just that, divide us.
Thank you for sharing that. I think I couldn't agree more, and I think it's just so important to remember that point of view. Yeah,
and I think it gets lost because
daily
you're either watching Fox or you're watching everything else, or you
right.
know. So there's this is right, but our point of view is right, and your point of view is wrong. When I think there's a middle, and I think that that's where we need to go. But in the landscape of the political tribalness that is our country and our Congress right now, I'm not sure of the road to that. I don't know how they're going to get there, because I don't think that either side is absolutely right or either side is absolutely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's got to be the middle where we can walk and hold hands a little bit. Maybe not hug and make out, but maybe just hold hands a little bit, or maybe just touch elbows, so that we can see the bigger picture of all of America and not just a small slice, of the people who want certain legislation put through for whatever their gain or their reasons are. It has to be what's the greater good for all Americans. So I think we've gotten off the path.
I do too. I find that this administration seems to be using divisiveness as a distraction,
it plays to who was saying yes in his ears, perhaps, and I think that is just for him becomes fuel.
Right.
And I don't wish him any ill. I need to say that because I know a lot of people use the hate word. I don't hate anybody. And that the man is somebody's father. I just think that the rhetoric has just gotten so toxic, and I think that the division has become a chasm. That to build that bridge, and not a wall, but to build the bridge back to the center where we can see each other, because it's a human experience. It's not just right or it's a human thing. It's not conservative or liberal. It's a human thing. And, that's the spiritual element that needs to be brought back into it, because that's not what we're seeing. We're just saying liberal is right, liberal is wrong, conservative is right, because that's who's in power. And it's also about power. It's all about power. It's ego. All of that. That's just testosterone-driven stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm loving that we have so many women in Congress, because women want to negotiate. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's a great energetic shift.
Oh, man. And they're going to get pushback, because it's always been a kind of patriarchal, the whole Congress, it's very been patriarchal. And I think that's slowly shifting. And my hope and my prayer is that those women will get in there and infuse some spiritual seeds and infuse a different perspective, that maybe, they say the man is the head of the house, but, the woman is the neck, can turn the head anyway. So we need more necks in there to kind of bring a civility and to get off of this page of bombastic rhetoric and shock value. And it's not good. It's not good. And I think we as a country are not a happy country right now, because there's just so much there's so much fear. There's so much fear. All of this is laced with fear.
Yes.
And I think that becomes reactionary. Fear brings reactionary reactions, and that's what's happening. It's also fear-based. So I think we need to get back to I see you as a human being. You, whatever color you come here or box you come in, you're a human being. You are valuable. We want everybody to have a working wage so that people can live and not just this chasm of the super wealthy and the have-nots. I mean, I have so many opinions about this. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of politics, but I think it's a spiritual thing, and that we've stopped seeing each other. We just see, right or wrong, white and black, conservative, liberal, and then everything else gets lost in the middle, and that's where the greatest amount of people are who are suffering. So that would be, if anybody, Congress people, if you're listening, please use your heart, not just your head. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. I want to focus on your book, and as I knew we would, we're not going to be able to cover everything today. We've got about 10 more minutes, so I'm going to ask you maybe the most important question of this conversation, and ask for a short answer. But we are also going to be posting the link to your book, to your foundation, your nonprofit for books. All the things that we're touching on, but with the deepest love and respect for your husband, Scott. I want to ask you about your experience losing your first husband, Don, and the healing that you created, or part of your journey back to love and to finding your footing again was in writing this book called Finding My Voice, My Journey Through Grief to Grace.
The writing of the book, unbeknownst to me in the starting of it, was has become cathartic. It became a cathartic experience. The experience of death is so profound that it's hard to comprehend it until you're in it. And when you're in it, it is a day-to-day experience. It is a moment-to-moment, because grief ebbs and flows. It doesn't come necessarily in a neat package of Kubler-Ross, edicts. It comes as it comes. You think you're okay, then there'll be a trigger, and you're on the ground.
Yeah.
I wanted to put this down because I remembered everything so crisply and so clearly, and I wanted to share my journey in hopes that it could inform or shed some light on someone else who would have to walk this path, because we all will have to at some point, at some time in our lives.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to, but it is like you, and you know this, it is as much part of life as life itself. Just like the flower grows, it dies, it comes again in a different form. And that's the journey of this book for me, was to get the movie of the experience out of my head. It played like a movie. And I couldn't get away from the bedside.
Right. Every day, the first thing you wake up to, the last thing, your last thought before you go to sleep.
Absolutely. It was just there. And I thought,
I know the feeling.
if I could put this, and I didn't know that's what this would be. I had no idea that it would be so healing for me. But by writing it, and sometimes I would write and I just would be a mess for a week. Like I wrote about day 9, the day that Donnie ascended. It was very hard. But I knew I needed to be as truthful in that moment. And because I knew my way around and I see you, I wanted to inform the listener kind of things to look for when they're in those days. And I also wanted it to be a love letter, because we had a beautiful, wonderful life. And I'm so grateful for the 22 years and these 2 beautiful daughters and a bonus daughter, Christine, that we were able to shepherd and raise and create a life together. What a gift. And my kids had a wonderful dad, and he was prolific in his voiceover career. He left his own legend. He left work that will outlive him. This is what I want to do. I want to create a work that will outlive me. That's what we all want to do. So the book was not my thought. My thought was, I can write this down. People would say, "Oh, Nita, you should share that." And I thought, how do you do that? I didn't know how to write a book. That was never on my radar of my moon dreams. That wasn't in my list. But there it was. And I also found that it is a creative expression and that I liked it.
Just like singing and acting, or raising your daughters, or waving to your neighbor.
It's all exactly. It's a creative expression and a creative release. We need avenues. If we're not doing what we do, if we're not playing the guitar like you do so beautifully, Terry, or if I'm not singing, I need some other way to express all this creativity that's bubbling up all the time inside of me. And this, I found, is a great avenue. So I'm working on my second book now. I'm in the editing process.
Good.
Yeah, because I find it gives me a way to express myself when I'm not singing. And, you know, music is words put to music, so that's kind of what we do, just a different form. Mm-hmm. But the journey of the book was really, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I will also share the link to the book, but people can find it on Amazon or any place that you can find, good books. And I highly recommend reading it, because we all have or will lose people dear to us in our lives. And we all need to lift each other through those experiences, and that's one way that you've been able to do that. So thank you for that.
And I will say that writing the book, I don't know if that kind of was like freeing, so that I could open my heart again, and
able to
find
love. Standing on the outside, watching your life as a friend, I absolutely have no doubt in my mind that experience of purging and expressing and sharing that led you to being ready to find love again. And, and it's been really a joy to watch you when the time was right to start to let that creep back into your life. And I congratulate you for that.
Thank you so much. It's been a blessing.
Yeah.
He's been a blessing. Yeah.
We have 5 minutes left, and I have 3 questions, and they're the closing questions.
Okay, I'll try to be more succinct. I get carried away. I get so excited.
So do I. Since this show is called Making It, what does making it mean to you, both personally and professionally? The second part of that question is, can you share 3 tips for success that have driven your career?
Yes. First part of the question, making it is being able to do what you love and make a living at it. On any level. And the 3 tips: perseverance, perseverance, perseverance. You just don't give up.
Exactly. Nita, at this point of your life, with everything that you know to be true, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh, boy.
And you've got 5 minutes on this one.
Yeah, to be patient. That it comes when it comes. It may not come when you want it, but it will come when it comes. And to take every success as a joy. That's what I would say. I say that to my daughters.
And do they listen?
No. Of course not. They get frustrated. Why hasn't? I know. Comes when it comes, baby. I didn't listen then. You didn't. We get because we want it right now.
That's
now.
Right. Well,
yeah.
They're welcome to call me if you need some backup on that. I'll give them my perspective. Right.
So true.
In our last few minutes of the show, I'd like to turn it over to you. What else is on your heart and mind? I'd rather hear that than the other 50 questions I have to ask you.
Well, I just would, first of all, like to express gratitude for being given a gift that I can share, and for having been given the platforms in which to share it. People in my life, David Foster, my husband, my late husband, Don, who, really championed my career and gave me stages and where you can do it, keep going. And my children who, have had some absences with me working, but they get it because they see the work ethic that it takes to keep going, and they still see me working. I just am so filled with gratitude for this village, you, Melanie, all Ballard. I'm thinking of all the people, Charles Randolph Wright, that are in our village who have had ebb and flows in their careers, and we watch and we cheer when the triumphs come. We are sad when they just miss the bar or the gig doesn't happen. But it's all a journey, and it's all part of this great experiment called life. And I've been blessed to have a family. I've been blessed to have a good life. So I have no regrets. I am where I am. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I'm grateful for all of it. All of it. The good, the bad, the ugly, the sad, the crushing, the highs, the wins. I'm grateful for all of it because it's made me be more Nita. It helped me to become more me. And I can stand in this world and say, I'm an artist. Proudly. I used to think I couldn't say that unless I was making money all the time. I couldn't say I was a professional unless I was making money. No, I'm an artist. That's what I am. I'm other things too. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a cook, I'm all of it. I have a wonderful new husband, Scott Perkins. He's amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm so grateful that my children are good people in this business, and they're finding their way. And I pray that God would take them as high as possible so they can get all of their dreams. And I hope they live forever.
Thank you for that. What's the link for In a World with Books?
It is its name, inaworldwithbooks.org.
And your goal is to continue to distribute books to deserving
kids. Right. We like to give with purpose. It's not the same as dropping books off to a shelter. We like to go in with the program that we've created to kind of get the kids engaged. We share a story. We're trying to get elementary school and younger, teach the parents how to read. We've gone to places with unwed teen moms, taught them how to read to the babies, given them 2 books to read to their babies. You start reading in the womb. We've done a lot of research. And then once you give a kid a book, it has more impact. It's just not, if they haven't been read to, they're not going to read. So we have to show them the power of the fun of pleasure reading. So because I'm an actor, I can bring a book to life. Or I'll bring some other people with me. They can also do that. They will read a story. And the kids are on the edge of their seats, just can't wait for the next thing. We turn the page, show the pictures, and then we give them a book that they can own. You don't have to share this book. This is yours. Pride of ownership. Right. So we have a whole program that we bring in. We like to get in the cracks. There are other people that give books, and we want to partner with them. We want to connect with everybody that we can just to get books in the hands of children. I go on planes now, and I take books with me because I don't see any books. I see tablets, and that's fine.
I need to interrupt and just thank you for spending the hour with me. Thank you so much, Nita. We are not surprisingly out of time. You're a pure joy and continued success. We're going to post all those links. And thank you, everybody, for spending the hour with us.
Thanks, everybody.
Tune in again next week for another great episode of Making It with Terry Woolman.